All right, let's go.
So we did our marketing research project on Shatter Shield. I'm Riley.
And I'm Brian.
And before we start, I kind of want to explain to you guys, our project was a little bit different than everybody else's. We originally started with a cake company downtown, and the same thing happened to us that happened to that group, and they didn't get back to us in time for us to actually complete our proposal with the interview questions and everything. So Dr. Cook also assigned us a new project, which was Shatter Shield. And rather than send out a survey and do all this stuff with the community, it's more of a business to business company rather than business to consumer. So all their stuff couldn't be done through surveys because we have no way of reaching these other companies because they're not going to respond to us. They didn't respond to our surveys. So we have a survey that they could send out because they could probably get better responses than we could. But so our whole main thing was kind of designing a database. And so the introduction for Shatter Shield, they were established in 1970, and originally they were just a shatterproof fluorescent lamp. And that was what they were known for. It was the first one in the world. They made big with that. And now they have over 9 different types of light fixtures, and then just so many different types of lamps, more than I can count on the website. And one of the main things they wanted us to do was look at ESCOs. And what are ESCOs? They are energy service companies, and they focus on energy efficiency and sustainable energy strategies. So this is the type of company that they want to understand and even possibly get involved with. So here's kind of a breakdown of our instructions from Shatter Shield and what they wanted from us for our project. They wanted us to do all the research on ESCOs so we could understand everything, and if they had any questions, we could help explain that to them from a different perspective. They wanted us to create the database for all these ESCOs. And so we did, it's over there if anybody wants to look at it, but it's a Excel sheet with about 50, I think almost 50 companies on it. And it is the top ESCOs in the world, country. They're all, some are global, some are local, but it includes name of company, location, specialty, if they are utility owned, and any possible contact information. And then the third thing they wanted us to do was, after we get that database, report everything back to them. And we had a first meeting where we came in with our first database, and she said, this is great, we don't really need this, but we need you to add these things. So like it kind of helped us develop the database into like what they wanted it to become rather than like what we just comprehended to be what we thought that they wanted. And then after giving them this database, our goal was to help them expand their brand and their contracts by looking at all their current deals and possible future ones whenever their current ones expire. So if they can regain those current contracts or what they're looking for in the next few years on future contracts.
And creating the database, we found 50 ESCOs in the country. That's global and in country. Most of them were in country and specifically Shatter Shield is more towards the ones in country and towards the East Coast. And then we visited all the websites. All companies have 50 websites, and then we compiled their niche into the utility and also their specialties. So there'd be like aerospace and like very niche products that the ESCOs focus on, or like air quality control or generators. So that's something that we included into the database, and then we entered required information into the Excel. The format was to provide easy access, so you just scroll through. And then another way that it could be a lot simpler, like say if we were to put it on a website, you just put in check boxes for what you're looking for, and then you just find that specifically. So that's something that they could do in the future as well, instead of Excel. And then our conclusion, networking, allowing Shatter Shield to make these type of connections with the ESCOs, because I think they're about to talk to a company on there called SmartWatt, and this is a huge like contract for them because they're about to run up on one for one of their correctional facilities, and then so this would help them. And then the contracts help the company protect their existing contracts and form new ones in the future, and then expand their industry, so grow into correctional facilities, waste treatment centers, and food production manufacturers.
And this is their small little company. That's the picture on the website from the About Us page. And that's it.
Questions?
Yes. I know it said it was only really looking at ESCO companies, but why wouldn't they go into the way of like Amazon and Walmart companies? Because like I know like they have lots of warehouses all over the country, and that'll be like if they secure a contract with one of them, that'll be like a huge thing for them. And like I know I know because I walk at Walmart and like I've been to like different warehouses and stuff that like they have lights to fix like a lot. Like usually all the time there's at least one light that needs to be replaced, and like if they could secure something like shatterproof or something like that.
That lasted like
Yeah,
he
they
said
will
almost
last 50 years, so like that will like really be sustainable for those type of companies. So why wouldn't they look into those?
I mean, they definitely are looking into those. That's the point of like our database, because ESCOs do control like who gets those lights and who puts them in. So
It's like a stepping. ESCOs are kind of like the stepping stone to reaching those.
because like they're also
companies,
like consultating like firms like for these consulting firms for these companies. So once they like talk to these firms, then like ESCOs like will like do what they think is best, and then put the most like reasonable source of lighting or whatever they need into that building.
Okay, because I was just wondering because I looked at the little big spreadsheet and I didn't see like any companies like major companies like that.
Yeah, like all
Yeah,
these
that company is just straight ESCOs in the world.
So why can't Shadow Shield reach to like a retail store or a big warehouse themselves? Can they reach?
Yeah, like direct.
They probably can. I just know that whenever because we asked her that in the meeting, if she was looking at trying to like individually reach out, and the way that I understood it, if she does get in with SmartWatt, she'll have all of their connections as opposed to going and making one with a
One
single
connection.
warehouse. It's more efficient for them to go try and get the bigger companies that will allow them to be like a map way to all their little companies.
Right, but like let's say like Amazon, they must have like 10 warehouse, right, all over the country, and that could be, I don't know, 10 times whatever amount of shatterproof light bulbs, right? So I feel like that could be efficient way too.
It'd be a great opportunity for them to
right?
get into.
Instead of go to middleman, and the ESCO basically the middleman, right? And middleman can actually prevent, right, the company from contacting whoever they're dealing with or whoever under the contract. So what we don't know, the part that you probably did not present thoroughly, it's where you understand about this business, right? You only talked about the ESCO only. But I think how I understand it is that maybe the insight of why Shadow Shield only can contract through the EBSCO, it's will be the same question that we have, right? So that could be something that you could do better in terms of understand why, right? And with the business to business, when you were talking about it's probably gonna be hard to contact each company individually and try to
They just don't have because they're a small company. I feel like they don't have the resources to do that.
Well, they could, but the thing is, we were talking about surveys, right? You were talking about survey, and it would be problem. Not that they're not gonna return your survey. They could. Okay, so just like the waterwork project, they are business to business too, right? So they try to reach out to other company. Hopefully they can donate the money to waterworks. However, for the time limit that we have, because you're dealing with such a big scope of EBSCO, right? They locate all over the country, even globally. Waterworks Visual Art Center, they are local, right? So the scope of study between yours project and their project's different.
Yeah.
And so we would discuss that you probably couldn't get result of 30 in time, right?
Yeah.
So that's
That's
why
why
we
we focus
focus
on the
on the database,
yeah.
right? So I think if you can come up with some recommendations besides this database, that might be useful. Like maybe one of the suggestion could be, I don't know if what you have found on those research on the database, like patterns, like majority of the EBSCO tend to do business with, yada yada.
Would you even think like maybe the location would help? Be like, oh, you have this many located around you. Maybe reach out to them first.
Right. So let's say there are a group of EBSCO that tend to be in one area. Maybe what in your recommendation could be you have a dedicated team that reach out to this group instead of just one person handling the majority of company or EBSCO. I don't know, something that you think would be helpful in terms of how to handle this, right? Because
to a specific way to use this
right.
information.
The thing is, when you come up with database, you are the one that's seeing individual website, right?
Yeah.
They don't unless they go back and revisit all those websites. But you have. So it could be useful for you and for them to go ahead and give like some 2 or 3 things that you have found as far as pattern of those EBSCO company, right? So that way kind of, we not just look and compile the data. We saw something that might be useful for you guys. That would be my recommendation. Okay? Anything else?